efectivamente aquí, como les he contado varias veces, desde la tribuna del Money Show en la edición de Miami, nos toca el turno con una de estas compañías a través de su chairman y fundador, se llama Navellier, el nombre de él es Luis Navellier, pero efectivamente todo lo que hacen es como yo les he venido explicando a ustedes, todo lo que tiene que ver con el research, así como hace Fonstrap, así como hace Bianco, así como hacen muchos que efectivamente se tratan de ver, pronosticar por dónde va el mercado. Entonces tenemos la dicha de tener a Luis Navellier. Thank you, Luis, for coming. His name is Luis, but I want to say Luis because it's the way we talk in Espanol. And I'm going to ask Mr. Navellier, what did he think about the markets these days? What do you think about the markets these days? Today, by the way, is we're in the second half of May of 2025.
Well, the U.S. markets are fine. You know, Trump scared everybody, but then he undid everything he did, so we rallied, okay? And then, of course, he went to the Middle East and he got a bunch of tech contracts, so all the tech stocks went nuts, and so things are getting back to normal. But the other thing that is odd that happened is Mr. Trump, he has a site called Truth Social. On April 17th, they announced that they're now money managers. You can actually buy Trump-themed portfolios through Schwab. So, and then other members of his family got an investment newsletter business. So it's just odd to see all these little side businesses going on when you're president. You can still get a Trump watch, Trump gold shoes, and Trump cologne, and he's still selling all that. So we're just all kind of getting used to it. It's not normal, you know.
And do you think that even though that's not normal, what Donald Trump is trying to do to reset the global trading economy, the relations in terms of trade, is okay? Because at the end of the day, one of the things he might be able to sell to the American people is that there is a lot of tariff against the U.S. out there. And what he's trying to do, I don't know if what the way he's doing that is okay, but what he's trying to do is to make sure that the U.S. have some sort of edge with those economies. What do you think about that, Louis?
I think it is okay, but we have to be clear why he's doing what he's doing. The U.S. used to get most of its tax revenue from tariffs, and we didn't have an income tax till 1917. So what they're doing is they're trying to put the tariffs back on to see if they can lower the income taxes, especially for the middle class. That's kind of Trump's roots. The 10% baseline tariff is really designed to tax the underground economy. So like I flew in from California. 20% of Californians don't have bank accounts. There's a lot of people in America, in fact, less than half people in America pay taxes. So he's trying to tax everybody through tariffs. I think the dollar will get strong, and I think the strong dollar will offset that 10%. And we won't even see it. The reciprocal tariffs are a little more complicated. If they treat us badly, then he can do tit for tat to them. We have a surplus with Britain, and Britain has no reciprocal tariffs. He did that to intimidate the EU. Okay, obviously he's trying to cause a lot of onshoring in America, and I would agree with them. You know, we're food and energy independent. We can be more competitive than other countries. So he is trying to get the entire German auto industry to move to America. Because if you're, you know, Volkswagen Group, you can only make electric cars by 2035, and you're doing good. You're beating Tesla now in sales, but your earnings just fell 40%. You make more money on the cars with engines than batteries. So, you know, he wants the Germans to put all their manufacturing in America. He says we'll give all your workers the work visas you need.
And is that doable?
Absolutely. We have 5 southern states. What makes America great is we have these states competing with each other. But the manufacturing is going to go wherever the electricity is cheap. And so there's 5 southern states fighting for that automotive business. Like I go to Alabama mostly to play golf. Alabama's always been a boom town. There's 7 auto plants there. They're booming. And but our electricity is so much cheaper because, you know, in Germany they turned off the nuclear plants, and there's nothing wrong with, you know, green energy. It doesn't work in the winter, okay? So, you know, the only way Germany can get that green energy to work is to tilt the globe a little, okay? So obviously green energy works in Spain most of the time, you know, they have that little glitch.
So listen, le voy a explicar, give me one second. Estamos hablando efectivamente de todo lo que puede suceder en la parte de los autos y todo lo que él nos está explicando. Luis Navellier, que como saben, tiene una compañía de research importante. Lo que puede estar pasando con esta nueva modalidad de el presidente Trump, también es cómico que el presidente Trump tiene ahora su investment newsletter, que es como que si tuviésemos un periódico de qué hacer con las inversiones, además de otras cosas que tienen que ver con el acceso a manejos de fondos. Pero una de las cosas que él me pidió que le preguntara y que nos interesa a nosotros es what happened in Spain with the blackout, because at the end of the day that's interesting with the renewable energy and with the actually I have to say it, the government going into a new way to actually force society these days. And you wanted me to ask you that, and the audience there would like to know your opinion out of that.
Well, there's nothing wrong with green energy in a sunny area. The issue is what happens at night and what can go wrong. And there's two things that can go wrong. We had it in California where one of the big battery plants burned for a month. Toxic smoke everywhere, you know, metals in the soil. It's an unbelievable disaster. So you always have to have some base load energy, some turbine spinning. I don't care if it's from a dam, from hydroelectric or natural gas. Natural gas is easiest because it can go up and down. They call them peaker power plants. What California is doing wrong and what Spain's now doing wrong is they don't have that baseline turbine. You have to have at least 20% spinning all the time. Because the way alternating current works, you just can't have a temporary glitch. You have to have that base load power. So if I was running the Spanish electric system, I'd make sure you have at least 20% from turbines. And that was the problem. They had none.
So changing again the topic, because obviously we want to close the interview, and I think it's pretty important to ask you again about global macro and about the S&P 500 and about Europe and about China. As you know, people has been allocating to China, people has been allocating to Germany, people has been allocating to Mexico, and people has been allocated again to the U.S. So Mr. Luis Navellier, where do you think the S&P, and I always ask that to everybody in the interview, where do you think, ¿dónde cree él que el Standard & Poor's 500 va a cerrar en el 2025? Where do you think the S&P will go from now, mid-May, till the end of the year?
Okay, we're almost done with earnings. They're up 11.2%. We think they'll go up a little higher because Nvidia and some other stocks are about to announce. But the earnings are double-digit for the rest of this year on the S&P. So I think we'd have some sort of what we call PE expansion, and I think we'll be up at least 20%, okay, because the fear of Trump is over. We're also going to have tax cuts to stimulate our economy before, by early July, because our Congress has to go on vacation. They have to pass it by then. America is an oasis. We're food and energy independent. What there's only 3 countries in the world growing: America, Brazil, and India. We still have household formation, and household formation creates a lot of organic growth. Brazil's about to fall off, so it's going to be us and India. So when you run a country, you want to have a lot of kids. So in America, we have the South and the Mountain West. They're very pro-family. That's why Utah's the fastest growing state. They have household formation. We are very still open immigration, just Trump wants them to be in the system versus not off the system. And we've always been pro-immigration. And then, of course, we assimilate the immigrants, which some countries are no longer doing. You know, France is, and even the UK and Germany aren't assimilating because they got overrun, for lack of a better word. And so we're the oasis, and we're food and energy independent. But we have these 50 states fighting for business. And that's something unique to America. So no matter who we elect, as long as we have these states trying to outdo each other, that will make us grow faster.
Bueno, ustedes lo escucharon del señor Navellier y efectivamente lo vamos a traer en la tribuna. Luis, thank you very much for staying with us, and thank you for the explanation about the blackout, por lo que pasó en España, allá en mi querida ciudad donde está el headquarter. Muchas gracias. Volvemos con ustedes a los estudios.